Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video I have something a little bit different from what you've normally seen on my channel, which is a lot of art related videos, but this is sort of still related. But basically I will be doing a sort of unboxing / tour of the two tarot card decks that I recently purchased. And these are both decks that I've been wanting for so long now, especially the Shadowscape one, because I am a huge, longtime fan of Stephanie Law's work. I mean, I was looking at her work way back when I was younger. She was a big inspiration to me. And then I was also following this artist, Ran, on DeviantArt, and I saw when she was working on these cards and thinking like, oh wow, I would love to have those cards in that deck. That's super cool. But I decided to actually compare and show both of these decks in the same video because there are a lot of similarities between them, and then through those similarities you can see sort of the slight differences also between them. So mattering on what you're looking for, which deck calls to you more, you'll be able to sort of, you know, decide for yourself. I would definitely say like none of the things that I'm saying as a difference or like a con to each deck is enough, in my opinion, to pass up on either one of these decks, because I still think they're super beautiful and really cool. It's just pointing out these small things that I think, you know, are interesting differences between the two. So, first two similarities between both of these decks is that the text in both cases were done, or at least worked on additionally, by Barbara Moore. So for the Shadowscapes one, it looks like Stephanie Law also helped with the writing of the text, especially in regards to the imagery that each card has, while it looks like Barbara Moore did all of the text for the mystical manga deck. The also interesting thing is that both of these decks are done by the same publisher, so they are very similar in the way that the boxes are, which the boxes are both really sturdy and cool, very pretty, and then they all have this little magnetic strip that, you know, keeps them all safe and secure. The other really cool thing that I love about the boxes here is that they have these little ribbon tabs that help you to pull up both the booklet and then the deck inside each box. So as far as getting into some of the differences between both of these decks, we will talk a little bit about the booklets, because there is differences between both of these booklets. Again, even though they are done by the same publisher, the booklets are actually different. So both of them are substantial little booklets. I have a ton of different information in them. But one of the main differences is that the mystical manga deck is a full colored illustration guidebook. It's also like more of a shiny kind of laminated, I don't know if that's the right word, pages, while the Shadowscapes companion booklet is all black and white, basic, you know, sort of paper, which I feel this sort of lends itself to one of the cons that I was seeing in some of the like Amazon reviews in regards to the mystic manga kind of plays in. I will get into that a little bit more in a bit. But as far as information in both guidebooks go, they're solid. Like, they all do a really good job. Of course, each one sort of starts off with a lot of beginning stuff, as well as like some like how to read the tarot, what is the tarot about, how to read it, sort of what questions to ask, you know, basic introductory stuff, as well as I think also some like example spreads that you can do. But I would definitely say that the mystical manga does a little bit more in-depth sort of overview, like especially for like beginners who are absolutely not familiar with the tarot at all. This is, I think, the stronger guidebook, and maybe also the stronger deck for that. I mean, this is still a very much perfect like beginners classic kind of style of tarot deck, but this one is just the guidebook gets a little bit more into that, with like a full, like this, like complete full example of how to read a spread with example cards for those positions and like how to read that all together. I still need to go through this and read all these little details, but I have skimmed it. So, and I feel like the reason why the beginning of this guidebook is like that is partially because of what the art style of this is. Because it is manga, it's obviously going to appeal to those within the anime fandom, you know, communities and stuff, and maybe those who are into anime and stuff may not be familiar with the idea of tarot, so they'll need a little bit more help to understand this, because they might just be like automatically drawn to the art and think it's really pretty and want to own it, but may not understand how to use it yet. So I think this is really good in that case. One of my little cons in regards to just, it's a small thing to this guidebook, is that it is kind of confusing sometimes with the way that each, especially when it comes to like the major arcana, there's a lot of information, and so a lot of it is spread across a couple different pages. So I feel like you need to be careful not to get sort of confused about which like meaning are you reading for which card, just to keep track. I don't know, that's a small thing. Again, sort of on this line, you know, some cons that I saw some people talking about is that there isn't enough information on these cards. Like maybe that Barbara Moore couldn't connect enough to maybe the imagery on the card or something. I don't know if I agree with that so much. I think that there is, again, this is good for a very beginner person to tarot. I think they have very short descriptions, but they're solid descriptions, I would say. Again, I think that will come clear. I will do like a little test pull, like one card from each deck, so that you guys can get an idea of how each book reads in regards to looking up the meaning of that card. But yeah, those are some of the differences in regards to the guidebooks that I see. And just, I would say those are, actually there's one more main difference that I feel, and this might be the most important one for anybody who's looking at either one of these decks and is related to the guidebook issue. So, again, something that I saw some people mention when they were looking at reviews of specifically the Mystical Manga deck was that the card quality seemed a little bit, what's the word I'm looking at? Flimsier or maybe thinner than other tarot decks. And I'm kind of inclined to agree that they do feel a little bit more like bendable than even the Shadowscape ones. I don't know if this is just like my imagination or not, even though they are the same publisher. It might be the case that because the Mystical Manga deck has this full color illustrated book, that they had to go a little bit cheaper on the actual cards for the deck versus what happened with the Shadowscapes. Again, that's, some people have pointed that out. I might be inclined to agree with that, but overall I'd say it doesn't stop me at all from enjoying this deck and this deck. I mean, other than that, it's kind of hard to compare both decks since the art style is completely different, but I love both art styles. So I don't know, it's completely up to you whether how you feel about dealing with a deck that has slightly more bendable cards or not. I mean, in general, I think you shouldn't be like beating up your tarot cards and throwing them all over the place. But yeah, so those are some of the main differences that I saw looking at both of these decks put together. And now let's get into actually showing you, a quick look through of both of these decks. Okay, so starting with the Mystical Manga deck, we have, of course, number 0, the Fool. Then we have the Magician. Again, I would say like a lot of the art in this one is very much based off like the classic tarot. As far as the imagery goes, in most cases, we of course have number 2, the High Priestess. I think this one's a very pretty one. I also really like this one, the Empress. She's neat looking. We have the Emperor, of course. Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, which I definitely remember seeing this card on her, on their DeviantArt, because it was a really pretty image. We got the Chariot, kind of classic, the 2 horses drawing the chariot. Strength, a little bit of a different kind of interpretation of the strength, given that, the girl is in full armor, but I think that lends itself to what the meaning of this card is. The Hermit, this one is so pretty. I love it with all the autumn leaves. It's a nice one. Got the Wheel of Fortune. There's a lot of detail in these cards that are pretty nice. We have Justice. Oh, so the Hangman is upside down. But yes, we have the Hangman. We have Death, very obvious death card, I would say. No mistaking that one. Temperance. The Devil. This one I just found this one hilarious when I saw it. It's a very sassy kind of death card. We have the Tower, which I also really like this one because it was different, because it's like, I think usually with the Tower card, with the people that are falling out, you usually see, I think, maybe a man and a woman, or at least like 2 men, so I think it was cool of choosing to do 2 girls falling from it, and then having them so prominent in the foreground. The Star, this is definitely one of my favorite ones. This is so pretty. I love the color palettes in a lot of these. Also really like the Moon here. The Sun, this is cute because of the, you know, seeing like younger characters in the cards. I'd say there's a bit of a good mix. Like there's a couple cards I think later on that you see like a little bit of an older figure, but again it's like anime, manga style, so you're not gonna get like you typically very old characters. Judgment, the World. And then we get into the minor suits, so Ace of Wands, 2 of Wands, the 3 of Wands, the 4 of Wands, which I love that one. I think that was a good interpretation, because usually the 4 of Wands is like kind of a wedding scene anyway. 5 of Wands, the, oh god, 6 of Wands, 7 of Wands, 8 of Wands. I really like this. This is like very classic imagery, but with the hands, I think that's a nice added touch. 9 of Wands, 10 of Wands, Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands. All these ones are like redheads. Of course, the fire energy, so that works perfectly. Queen of Wands. Oops. And the King of Wands. Now we got the Ace of Swords, getting to the air energy. So the 2 of Swords, the 3 of Swords, everybody's favorite. Let's see, 4 of Swords, the 5 of Swords. Again, it's very classic in the way that it's going, except with this cool manga style to it, which is a lot of fun. 6 of Swords, the 7 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the 9 of Swords. Look at that little demon in the background. And of course, the 10 of Swords. Now we get into the Page of Swords, Knight, the Queen of Swords, and then here's the King of Swords, which he seems a little bit older of a character. I don't know, maybe I'm just interpreting it that way. And then we got the Ace of Cups, which of course are water. The 2 of Cups, I like that one. The 3 of Cups, always classic. 4 of Cups, I think this one's a pretty one. I think it's interesting. Again, everybody's favorite. The 5 of Cups. Then we have the 6 of Cups. Again, we have these little young characters again. The 7 of Cups. So many choices and abundance here. Then we have, let's see, that was 7, so this is 8 of Cups. I love that one. Very pretty. Then we have the 9 of Cups. And then the 10 of Cups. Again, classic. The rainbow and the family. And now we have the Page. The Knight. The Queen. And then the King of Cups. And now we go into the last suit, which is of course Pentacles. So we have the Ace of Coins. Well, in this case it's coins, but you know, Pentacles, earth element, coins, material world. So 2 of coins, the 3 of coins, the 4 of coins, 5 of coins, the 6 of coins, 7 of coins, the 8 of coins. Oh, I'm losing track. 9 of coins. And then, of course, the 10. And then we have the page of coins, the knight of coins, the queen of coins, and finally we have the king of coins, which she seems like the youngest king out of the bunch. Kind of mischievous. But that is the mystical manga deck. And now we will go ahead and move on to the Shadowscapes. So with these ones, there is a lot of course, it's kind of classic Stephanie Law. There's lots of hidden details and figures in these cards, so it may not all come through on camera. I definitely think that this is a kind of deck that you really need to see in person to get everything, all those little details, but it's still a gorgeous, just gorgeous artwork. So we have the Fool, we have the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, which I really like the Emperor card. Actually, this is technically my card. So I have to look it up again, but there's a way to calculate like which card is yours in the tarot, probably based off your birth date and all of that, but I believe the Emperor is mine, so makes sense. The Hierophant, which is this cool little tree spirit kind of dude. The Lovers, it's just fun to say that, the Lovers. Chariot, I love all the color palettes in this deck. Strength card, classic kind of idea. The Hermit with their lantern. The Wheel of Fortune. Justice. And then, of course, we have the Hanged Man again. Death. This is a cool one. I really like how this one is interpreted with the Phoenix. Because, you know, death, rebirth. Because death is not... I especially don't think of the death card as a very negative card. I do interpret it more of like rebirth. That might have to do with my original deck. That was my first OG deck. Has a very similar idea about the death card. So now we have Temperance, the Devil. It's kind of goblin-like. I really lots of cool detail in this one. The Tower. No mistake in that one. We have the Star. Again, so much detail. The Moon. I think this one's really pretty too. The Sun. Judgment. The World. And then we get into the minor suits. So we have the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups with 3 mermaids, which I love. Another mermaid, of course, with the water cups. You gotta have at least a couple mermaids in there, right? 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups, the 6 of Cups. It's a little tea party. I think that's really cute. 7 of Cups, the 8 of Cups, 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups. And you see the cups are represented by the fish, which I think is really neat. Very clever way of going about that. The Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, Queen of Cups, and of course, the King of Cups. And now we get into the Ace of Pentacles. So, got these cool little chameleon-like lizards. Then we have the Two of Pentacles, sort of juggler, and that balance and eternity. Four of Pentacles, again, sort of that, the greedy king, sort of hoarding his riches, represented by a dragon, very fitting. Three of Pentacles. Oh, wait, the Three of Pentacles. Oh, I got those mixed up. So, Three of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles. Now we're in the right order. Now the Five of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles. Choices, deciding whether or not to, you know, harvest the fruit before it's necessarily ready to be done. Eight of Pentacles. The spiderweb. Nine of Pentacles with this piano. And then, of course, we have the Ten of Pentacles, which I don't remember. Some of these, it's like I don't remember looking at. And we got this dragon. That's sweet. And now, of course, we have the Page of Pentacles. Oh, again, I'm noticing details I didn't notice the first time. It's sleeping dragon here. Knight of Pentacles, which I guess it makes sense. There's a lot of dragons in this because of the earth energy, and then, you know, it has to do with material, the material world, riches. Dragons are a fitting choice for that. Queen of Pentacles. And then finally, the King of Pentacles. And next up, we have the Wands. So getting into that fire energy. Got a lot of foxes in this one. I do remember that. The Two of Wands. Three of Wands. I mean, look at that. Love the watercolor. She's so good at watercolor. It's just, ugh. Four of Wands. Oh, these are, Kirans. Is it, that's how you pronounce them? Mythical, I think it's Chinese, kind of like unicorn creature. Five of Wands. Look at all those foxes. And then the Six of Wands. Seven of Wands. Conflict. Standing up for yourself and sort of your beliefs. Eight of Wands. The Nine of Wands. And then the Ten of Wands. This cool sort of floating city on the back of this, I would assume like a Dyrad. And then of course we have the Page of Wands. The Knight of Wands. The Queen of Wands with her giant harp. And then the King of Wands. Look at that. That's neat. And then we have, I believe, the last suit. So we have the Ace of Swords. Then we have the Two of Swords. And once again, everybody's favorite, the Three of Swords. The swords get a lot of bad reputation because they're tend to be the hard-hitting ones, you know? Four of Swords, that contemplation. The Five of Swords. The Six of Swords. Seven of Swords. I like this dude. His mask. It's neat looking. The Eight of Swords. Pretty spooky. And we got the Nine of Swords. Ten of Swords. The Page of Swords. The Knight of Swords. The Queen of Swords. And finally, the King of Swords. So that is all of the cards in the Shadowscapes deck. And now, getting into the last segment of this video, a little test run of reading the cards and the descriptions in the book. Okay, so I went ahead and I shuffled both decks, so let's see what is on top of each one. We had the Nine of Cups, and then we have, oh, the Knight of Swords. Interesting. So let's go ahead and look up the meaning of each one of these and their respective booklets. So let's start with the Shadowscape for the Nine of Cups. So for the Nine of Cups, we have, here is our booklet. So for the minor arcana, there's usually a little bit less information with just the one page. So what it says about the Nine of Cups is, all that the heart desires is within reach, just at his fingertips. Swirling like the rich golden tones of the massive school of fish, they tumble and slice through the waves in a frenetic arc and spasm of exuberance, until the mass of bodies seems to squeeze even water out of the space. There's a sensual delight in the sleek forms brushing past his skin. They sing with joy of life and the abundance to be found for taking to those who reach out. The world extends an offering of pleasure intoxicating in its beauty. There is a grace in the swirl of fish as they swim in unison and spin through the water as one organic being, rather than as hundreds of disparate creatures. They swim with such harmony that it feels like a choreographed dance. Fish are symbolic of health, prosperity, and good fortune. The Nine of Cups entices with the pleasure of the senses, satisfaction, and wish of fulfillment. The future is assured, and there is bounty on the horizon. Very positive, cool. I like that one. That's a cool one. I haven't had that one pop up yet in using this card for myself or for readings, so it's neat to see that and get a feel for what this card means. Now, moving on to the mystical manga. Of course, we're dealing with a knight. We're dealing with one of the court cards. So, let's see what he has to say. So, we have the Knight of Swords. Okay, so Knight of Swords is, of course, we have this page. So, and this deck also has a reversed meaning for the cards, unlike the Shadowscapes. So, and then, of course, that is completely up to you, the personal reader, whether or not you go off the reverse meanings or not. But for some of you, you might appreciate having that reverse meaning already sort of written out for you than having to interpret it for yourself. So, I will go ahead and I'll read both meanings, even though we pulled this upright. So, for the divination meaning upright, the Knight of Swords is committed to the truth as he understands it. He is like all the knights, focused and driven. He uses words and logic to support his own agenda, which may be awesome or may be deeply flawed. Marvelously skilled with words, he can convince people that he is right. That is a great power and brings with it responsibility. Fighting for the truth is great, but he doesn't always verify that his ideas are the truth. A little wary little message there. So, advice. Don't assume your truth is everyone's truth. So true. Make sure you've examined the big picture, including opposing ideas, before you fight for your ideas. So, that is what the upright meaning is. And then for the little reverse thing, if it is reversed, it means lacking a plan or strategy, being too rigid, and not seeing new developments, intolerance. So, very cool. So again, that just gives you kind of an idea of how each reading goes. I do want to do, I think additionally for this one, since for the most part, I would say that all the interpretations, well actually, there is a slight difference. So in the case of both of these decks, mattering if it's obviously for a minor arcana or the court cards, it's going to be a little bit less information. So let's see if we have a, there we go. Let's go ahead and also do a major arcana so you can get an idea of how that is done in the case of both. Look at that. I'm getting super lucky. So, as far as going off a major arcana, let's go ahead and read what Justice says in the Shadowscapes to give you an idea of how that works. So, Justice. So, basic spread with the introduction. So, to the Egyptians, when death claimed a soul, one was brought to be judged by the goddess Maat. She weighed the soul on her scales against a feather, and if found wanting, that soul was sent to the underworld. There are those who say Justice is blind, but that is not so. Her eyes blaze white, not with blindness, but with pure white of truth. She sees through mere flesh, peeling aside the layers of emotion, dimension, illusion, and perception, and into the heart where the unfretted awareness resides. There is no hiding. She stands for karma, the souls gathered in the butterflies hovering near her, and she bears the feather close to her heart like a sword. She judges not with her own bias or with grays of maybes, but in terms of stark black and white. Things are as they are, fair, impartial, and right, and there is a balance that is achieved when true justice has been meted out and an evening out of what is not settled correctly. So, meaning, balance, harmony, equilibrium, assuming responsibility, weighing all sides of an issue before making a decision, choosing with full awareness. Justice relies on a logical mind, capable of objective ruling on situations and adjusting what needs reassessment. Meditation on right morality and duty, and perhaps compromise must be made in order to truly even both sides of a situation. Admit and acknowledge the truth. Comprehend the results of your actions and the connections they have to everything around, and from that, set a course for the future. So that is all it says for the Judgment card in the Shadowscapes. Again, a little bit more detailed, gives you a little bit more insight into the imagery of that card, which I feel is just generally the case with the Shadowscapes. Again, that sort of goes into some of the criticism of this deck. Isn't enough sort of description about what's in the card, but it's up to you guys. So let's see about what the Empress says in this deck. Alright. So, here's the spread for the Empress, and as you can see, we got a little bit more detailed here. So, in the archetypal journey, the Empress represents the teachings of the Fool's culture in terms of home and family values and expectations. These lessons form the first templates for intimate and trusting relationships. Of course, in our imperfect world, this can also mean passing down family dysfunctions. The range of nurturing behaviors can run from one extreme of neglect to another extreme of smothering or controlling. In a bordered sense, the Empress is Mother Earth with all its abundant life as well as with its necessary death. The cycle of life makes room for all events, both happy and tragic. All experiences have value and add to the richness of life. Divination meaning, prosperity and the fullness of life abound. There is enough and possibly more than enough, which can be a blessing or a burden. As anyone who has tried to declutter or lose weight knows, abundance requires attention, nurturing, and love if it is going to continue to thrive. Advice: recognize your values and give them your time, attention, and energy. Put your focus on what you want to increase in your life. Pay attention to boundaries because nothing can grow well if it is overcrowded. If reversed, ask yourself, am I holding on to a poverty mindset? Am I allowing unhealthy boundaries in my life and relationships? Am I perpetrating unhealthy behaviors or expectations passed down by my family or early life experiences? So there you go. A little bit more detailed on the major arcana as it typically is. So yes, that is my little tour insight into both of these decks, the Shadowscapes and then of course the Mystical Manga. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do remember to leave a like and comment about which deck you like more. And do you agree with sort of the cons and the, pluses I guess I've pointed out in this video? And do let me know if you would like to see more tarot tours and stuff, because I have a couple recent purchased oracle cards that I could also tour here on my channel, and anything else related to tarot if you would like to see more of that on my channel. Also remember to check out all my various links down below if you would like to follow me on Instagram or support me by buying me a tea on Ko-fi. There's also the shop with prints of my art and stuff, and then also Redbubble for more various merch and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day, guys.